Today, I'm diving into a crazy family secret that's been hidden for years. Can I handle the shock of revealing a long-lost son to my family? This family's been through a lot, and their story's one of heartbreak, loss, and ultimately, reunion. They've been living with a gaping hole in their lives, wondering what could have been if their son had never left. The family's emotional struggle has been a heavy burden to bear, with each member dealing with the absence in their own way. The mother's pain is still raw, even after all these years, and the father's trying to stay strong for the rest of the family. The siblings are also feeling the weight of their brother's disappearance, wondering what they could have done differently to prevent it. As time passed, the family's dynamic changed, and they had to learn to adapt to a new reality without their son. The holidays were especially tough, with empty chairs at the dinner table serving as a constant reminder of what they'd lost. The family's struggles didn't go unnoticed, and their relationships with each other began to suffer as a result. They'd argue over little things, and the tension in the air was palpable. The mother would often find herself wondering what her son was doing, if he was safe, and if he'd ever come back to them. The father tried to be the rock of the family, but even he couldn't hide his pain forever. The family's emotional well-being was fragile, and it seemed like it could shatter at any moment. The family's story is a complex one, full of twists and turns that ultimately led to their son's disappearance. They'd been dealing with their own personal demons, and the stress had taken a toll on their relationships with each other. The son had been feeling suffocated by the family's expectations, and he didn't know how to cope with the pressure. He made a difficult decision, one that would change the course of their lives forever. The circumstances that led to the son's disappearance were complicated, and there were many factors at play. The family had been keeping secrets from each other, and the misunderstandings had been building up over time. The son had been feeling like he didn't fit in, like he was a puzzle piece that didn't quite belong. He'd been struggling to find his place in the world, and the family's dynamics hadn't been helping. The family's secrets and lies had created a toxic environment, one that ultimately led to the son's decision to leave. The son's disappearance had been a result of a perfect storm of events, and the family was left to pick up the pieces. They'd been searching for answers, trying to make sense of what had happened, but the truth was hard to come by. The family's history was complex, and there were many layers to unravel. The son's decision to leave had been a desperate attempt to escape the chaos, but it had only led to more pain and suffering. The son's disappearance had left a gaping hole in the family's life, and they'd been searching for a way to fill it. They'd tried to move on, to find a new sense of normalcy, but it was hard to shake off the feeling of loss. The family's journey had been long and arduous, filled with twists and turns that had tested their resolve. They'd been through the fire and come out the other side, scarred but stronger. The moment the son reappeared was one of pure shock and awe. The family had given up hope, thinking they'd never see their loved one again. But then, out of the blue, he walked back into their lives, and everything changed. The family was overwhelmed with emotion, unsure of how to react. They'd been living in a state of limbo for so long, and now they had to adjust to a new reality. The son's return was a shock to the system, one that would take time to process. The family's reactions were intense, ranging from tears of joy to anger and confusion. They'd been hurt so deeply by the son's disappearance, and now they had to navigate their feelings all over again. The son was nervous, unsure of how he'd be received. He'd been away for so long, and he didn't know if he could just pick up where he'd left off. The family's dynamics were complicated, and the son's return had thrown a wrench into the works. The son's reappearance had brought up a lot of old wounds, and the family had to confront their past in order to move forward. They'd been avoiding the truth for so long, and now they had to face it head-on. The son's return was a chance for the family to heal, to confront their demons, and come out stronger on the other side. It was a difficult journey, but one that was necessary for their growth and redemption. The family's journey had been one of love, loss, and redemption. They'd been through the fire and come out the other side, scarred but stronger. Their story was one of hope and forgiveness, a reminder that families can overcome even the toughest challenges. If you've got a story about a family reunion or a long-lost loved one, share it with me in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one.